Also in Florida today is the Florida primary. Here in Florida, we've got a presidential preference primary. That's what they call it. And then we'll vote again later this summer in another primary. And both of these are a little bit different from what most other states do. And yes, I understand that all these terms are a little bit confusing. So let's go beyond the headline on this Tuesday morning and break down the big differences in the primaries. Let's start with what a lot of Floridians are going to be taking part in today. The presidential preference primary election here in the state of Florida. And yes, that's what it's actually called. This simply means that today you'll be voting for your party's nominee for president. Later in August, Florida will hold its full primary election for all other positions up for election this fall. And speaking of primary elections, there are two types: open and closed. Closed means you can only vote for candidates from the party which you are affiliated. In an open primary, you can vote for any candidate, regardless of party affiliation. Now let's talk about caucuses. If you don't vote in a state that has one, it might be a little bit confusing. During a caucus, voters show up at designated venues to hear from supporters of various candidates. They debate issues and ultimately decide who they think should be their presidential nominee. So it's a little bit more involved than just showing up, checking a box, and walking out with an I voted sticker. And whether it's a primary or a caucus, candidates are competing for that state's delegates. These are the people who represent their state at the national party conventions, where they vote on the party's presidential nominee. I know with coronavirus right now basically taking the nation by storm, there is still going to be an election next November. The Democratic National Convention is slated for July 13th through the 16th in Milwaukee. The Republican Convention will follow that in August from the 24th through the 27th. That happens in Charlotte, North Carolina.